Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we are going to finally talk about what's going on with Frap, my black and white Tegu. He has been having a lot of health problems, and a lot of people over time have started to see some issues with his jaw, and there was sort of a journey kind of discovering what that was. Some of it being my fault, just as an owner, as a keeper, not readily noticing it. And then there's other various factors at play, but today we are going to talk about it, talk about the lessons learned and everything. That's really what you have to do in a situation that's very negative. You need to take away something from it or it's meaningless. So let's get to it. Let's talk about that today, and we'll cover everything that's been going on with them and the changes I've been making. Quick note, I just want to talk about how open I'm trying to be about this. You guys know that I am very open about all my pitfalls and the things I screw up with. So I'm really trying to do what's best for him here. No matter where I screwed up along this timeline, a lot of that is really unknown, something I can't even figure out at this point. But any portion of this being directly my fault, I take complete responsibility for and such like that. What ultimately is the goal here, and what I'm trying to do is give him the best life and make the proper changes, and that's really what I'm trying to do here. And I'm hoping by sharing this to you guys that you could take away something from my mistakes, and I can show you that it's okay to make mistakes during, your keeping and your stuff like that, and people make mistakes. Okay, so I believe it started late last summer. There was a slight deformity that kept getting worse and worse in his jaw. I eventually reached out to a couple reputable breeders. I don't really want to say their names. I've said it in the past just because I don't want to act like I'm blaming them or that they're the reason something or happened in the future, whatever. But I reached out to a few of them, and both of them thought it was fatty lip. Which is supposedly a genetic disorder in a lot of black and white Tegus. I don't know how valid that is. I don't know if that's like a really common thing, but we're pretty certain that has nothing to do with what's going on now. It really was not the problem at all. That's where I kind of started feeling like, okay, maybe he's alright. It's just, I have these reputable breeders here, these reputable keepers, not just one of them telling me that it's just this genetic disorder. The behavioral changes is really what got me out of that comfort level there and started to see that this was not just a genetic disorder. He was spending a lot more time in his hide. He was a lot more groggy. He started getting some bubbles in his eyes, which was not normal. He just wasn't his typical self. And then I kind of got back in that sense of urgency that happened probably over the last month, and then I really figured that I needed to see some reputable vet. Now, there is a very reputable vet who's done a variety of research with reptiles in my area. She actually teaches at the college I'm getting my PhD at, and then she came for an in-home visit, was very helpful, evaluated my husbandry. Most of the stuff, at least from what I took away, were pretty minor that she mentioned. She gave me the tips of raising up the low end temperature, which was about 71, something you would actually typically see as a decent low end on a lot of Tegu care guides. But she said to raise that up, maybe get some heat in his hide, which I'm looking into. Also maybe changing up the UVB a little bit. There was good spots of reading UVB. She used, the tool that you use. I don't remember what it's called, but the tool to read UVB. And there was placements that it was adequate. Although some of them were a little hard to reach, so I did kind of address that in some of my husbandry changes, which I'll show later. But additionally, she did say that I should raise the humidity up a little bit. During midday, could get down to around 60%. She said try to keep it high, at least 80% and higher, and I addressed those changes. That was probably the biggest critique. Now, immediately she saw his mouth and said it just didn't look right. There was some reddish in there, and she really believed there was a bacterial infection, which we would later find out is true. I eventually brought him into the clinic, her clinic, and we did some blood work, we did an x-ray. It really came down to him having a bacterial infection. The reason he was eating weird is that he lost really all his teeth, and we found that there's probably not a good likelihood that his teeth would come back. He had some inflammation in the gums, which added to his sort of jaw problem. We did also find a calcium deficiency in the very tip of his nose. We're really unsure of what that is because, like I said, I do have adequate UVB in there. I do give him calcium. It could be bacterial infection related, the one in his mouth, maybe messing with his calcium uptake. We're a little unsure. There was also a suggestion that I had a deficient bulb that was over his basking spot. So there was a calcium problem. I'm really still not sure what that was. And I really I don't know what to make of it. The current UVB in there is doing well. It's placed a little bit more over them and stuff just to address that. The readings were good, like I said, but I can't really say what happened in the past for that. Now, there are two other issues that he was having. One, he was having a lot of stuck shed, and that was really related to the bacterial infection. Being that his gums were inflated and he had sort of that gauntness in the upper jaw because of that sort of deficiency in the front of his nose, a lot of water was escaping there. And he was using a lot of, a lot of his body to fight off that bacterial infection. So he was very dehydrated because of the bacterial infection. At the same time, since he wasn't feeling well, he wasn't going out and drinking water. He was spending most of his time in one place. And that really led to all of his stuck shed that he was having. The one on his tail mainly. He had some on his back feet. That is all off now, and you'll see that in a moment. Do let me know if you see any, though, because I will address that. But I think I corrected that problem pretty good, and he's back to drinking and everything. But that was definitely a huge side effect of the bacterial infection. The last issue is that he was having some bubbling in his eyes, and he had some sort of a respiratory infection. I'm not really sure how he got that. Really at all. I really didn't get much answers from the vet on that, too. That was satisfying. I guess it was just a secondary sort of problem coming off of his bacterial infection, since a lot of his guard was down and everything in terms of what his body's doing, fighting that bacterial infection. But that was the last issue there. He should recover fine and be completely well. He's on a few different medications we'll talk about, and his attitude's so much better. And I'll go and show you guys now, I guess, some of the changes I've made and what he's taking and sort of the progress that's been going on. Real quick, before opening this bad boy up, this is the T100 from Animal Plastics. I wanted to show how this window here is kind of filled with water droplets. So I really got the humidity up from, the daytime low of 60% to right now, if you can see in the back there, you probably can't see, it says 89%. So it's really high in the midday. It's midday right now. So I'm really happy with the changes I made to address the humidity. And I'm happy to see these water droplets back on the T100. They went away for a while after the first initial couple months of owning this thing. So I think I'm on the right track here seeing these come back. Well, let's look inside the enclosure. Okay, so first we have the basking platform. Right off the bat, you will notice that there's two water bowls right here. We put this here to help with humidity. This is near the heating area. Obviously, it's a basking platform. So we put these here because we want the heat to sort of help evaporate this water and then add to the humidity. So we have two of those here. This also acts as another avenue for Frap to get a drink when he comes up to bask. As for the overhead of the basking platform, you can see a couple changes here as well. We now took out sort of the general LED light just to add light to the enclosure and put in another basking bulb. This adds extra heat, so the low end temp will go up. He also has other basking option down here. While it's not as hot as he needs, it is an option if he wants lower temps in terms of basking. And we changed up the UVB fixture. This now goes across his basking area more, so he gets more direct, UVB from it. And he doesn't have to go where this is right here, because he was along that, and that was particularly on the end here that gave good readings. So you would have to be sort of over here more to get the best readings, but now he can be basking and still get the best readings. Now you guys probably just saw a moment ago that the substrate looks a little different. I added in some Eco Earth here to help with the humidity. So this is now a mixture of Eco Earth, a mixture of soil, organic soil, and play sand. The Eco Earth has really helped out a lot. It's also in his hide there as well. That and the addition of the water bowls has incredibly increased the amount of humidity in here. And I've had the door open for a little bit. This is dropping pretty drastically, but 82% right there. And you can see the temp on sort of the lower end of the enclosure right there is about 79, which is pretty good. You can see water all on the opposite side there of the unit, which is great as well. And I guess you guys can see right now, I've dropped down the other UVB as well. This one was not giving off adequate UVB. You can see up there that line there, right there was going across there. This was really not doing its job. Now, there has been sort of several changes with Frap outside of the enclosure. One, I've been giving him almost a daily bath just to put him in water and make sure he could get his water there if he's not going out and about drinking, which he has been lately. And also in the bath, I've been working at that stuck shed that is now pretty much gone from the looks of it. Just to manually get it off. I did sort of several different methods for that, though. Additionally, he's on 2 medicines. One is Fortaz. I'm giving that to him every 3 days. It's an injection. Let me know if you want to see a video on giving a Tegu an injection, because it is not fun for me, but it might be fun for you. So if you want to see that, let me know. But he has 1 more injection on that, and then he's done. And then additionally, I have to give him medicine by mouth twice daily, which is almost just as hard as an injection. They told me it was meat flavored, but he doesn't like it. So I have to give it to him by mouth twice daily. This is dioxolin. And that is going on for a couple more days. So that's what he's doing to get treated right now. He's doing a lot better. He's a lot more active. I'm really happy with the point he's at. Also, I've done diet changes. Now, I've done a few different versions of what I feed my Tegu, and all those are, readily used sort of in Tegu husbandry. I don't necessarily want to say what I fed him in the past was bad. I do think for a good around the first year, I gave him a little bit bigger portion size of meat than I should have. His phosphorus levels were a little bit higher, so I'm going to reduce on that a little bit, and I'm going to stick to 3 sort of main meats, even though, one of them's not really meat. But that's going to be whole prey, that's going to be chicken, and it's going to be chicken breast that's cooked. And it's going to be fish, so probably most likely farm-raised Atlantic salmon. Salmon. So those are not going to have as high as phosphorus levels. They're going to be healthy for them. I'm going to stick to that for a while. The fruits, veggies, the greens, they're going to stick around pretty much as is, as I've been doing it in the past. Just focusing on making sure there's nothing too high in sugar. Now moving forward, what's the plan? The plan is to see how he does on this medicine, with the husbandry changes, with the diet changes, and then check on his blood work again in, I guess, about 2 weeks from now. It's already been about a couple weeks. And then we'll see if that's actually correcting some of his issues and everything. I could already tell his attitude has improved a lot, and he's out a lot more. Originally, when he was in the worst of it, I could mess with him and he wouldn't care. He would just let me do whatever, and that's not a good sign. The more fight you see from a sick reptile, usually the better. That means that, they still have some heart in them. And recently, when I've been messing with him, he is just not having it. He's tail whipping me, he's giving me huffs, giving me attitude, scraping, the whatever out of my arm. I don't want to say a bad word. So, he's doing really good, but we're just going to keep monitoring him moving forward and see if he gets better health-wise and his blood work improves. Anyway, that wraps up this video, guys. I hope this tale here will help you somehow. You could take away something from it, maybe do something precautionary, or maybe keep an eye on your Tegu a little bit more. The more I look at Tegu care now, the more I see it as being deceptively difficult. Now, I don't think they were easy even beforehand, but I thought they weren't too bad. Keeping them outside of natural environments that, go well with Tegus like Florida is rather difficult, and I think they are very skilled at hiding sort of their unhealthy issues or their problems. I think there's a lot of unhealthy Tegus out there that owners don't think are unhealthy, and I would challenge you guys just to keep an eye on your Tegus a little bit more if you have them, and really make sure that they're healthy. You're giving them all they need, because I've really opened my eyes to seeing how difficult Tegu care can be over the last couple months. But that's about it. I hope you guys really did take away something from this, and I'll always be open with you guys about any problems I encounter. Anyway, guys, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, comment. I'd appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time.